This is a story about a boy and his Cuda. This will be a saga, an ongoing, continued saga, presented to you by the Poochman. That's me, of course. That's me. That's right. That's me. As you can tell, I've started to remove some of the dirt, and as most of you know, I have listed my Cuda on Craigslist. I've been getting some very interesting calls, to say the least. One guy wanted to trade me a 010 Lexus. No. Another guy said that he showed the pictures on Craigslist to a mechanic friend of his, and his mechanic friend said no, it's junk, and he offered me some ridiculous price, and I said no. And he was nice enough to get back to me and said, well, you know, if you change your mind, I'm still here, you know. Thanks. So, this isn't the first time that I've sort of had the idea of selling this car. I think this is probably the third time in the years that I've had it. I've owned this car. Gee, what year was it? 1979? I either got it in 79 or 1980, one or the other. And I used to see this car come home. The guy that owned it used to come home from work every day, about 4:30, give or take. And I would hear it coming. And I would sit on the curb in front of my house and wait for him, because he just lived right up the street. And I would wait for this guy to come home every day. And I would hear him coming up the hill. Couldn't see it. I would hear him coming up the hill. And I would hear it stop and idle. And then I would hear him accelerate through the stop sign. And then I would hear every day the second gear chirp as he's coming up the street. And it was like, it was euphoric. I'd hear the engine rev and then bark second gear. It was absolutely mesmerizing. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And he would zip by, go right by me, make a U-turn, and park in front of his apartment building, you know, and I just sit there and stare at it. That's an awesome car. And it really didn't look like it looks today. On the quarter panels, it had those, I don't know if you remember back in the day, it had the aftermarket decals on the side, big letters said Plymouth Cuda. I didn't care for that. And it had 14-inch wheels all the way around, 14-inch wheels. And it sat really squatty in the back, you know? And I really didn't like the stance of it. But I loved the sound of it. I loved the second gear chirp. And the way it idled. It just had this really lumpity-lump idle to it. It just sounded like a race car. I loved it. So then one day, he comes by as usual. But there's a sign on the quarter glass in the back window. It said for sale. And I'm thinking, no! He sells it, I won't be able to hear it go by every day. Oh, man! So he must have had the same problem that I had. Because after about 3 weeks, for sale sign was gone. But he kept driving it. cool. He's not selling it. I can still get to hear my car go by every day. Month goes by. 2 months goes by. Oh no, it's for sale again. Got the for sale signs on it. No! So by now I'm talking to my dad about this car, you know. Dad, man, this car every day. Oh man, it was awesome. And my dad wasn't really into cars at that point. Earlier he was in the car. He was just like, yeah, whatever. I guess he just enjoyed that I enjoyed cars. So one day I go, Dad, man, it's for sale again. He's gonna sell it and I'll never get to hear it again. So my dad, being this awesome man, he looks at me and says, son, how much does he want for it? I don't know. We'll go find out. Okay. So I get on my bike, you know, and I was, I think I was 17. I think I was 17. And I've been driving since I was 16, but I didn't have my own wheels, you know. So I jumped on my bike, rolled down the street. I look at the for sale sign, right? Just like this. Check it out. Just like this. Man, I come walking back home, my head hanging low. My dad says, well, what's he want for it? He says, Dad, he wants $1,600. Now, when you're 17, that might as well be like $1.6 million. Because I think at the time I was making like $5 a week, like returning soda bottles or something like that. So $1,600. Dude. So my dad says, is that all? And I'm looking at my dad like, huh? What do you mean is that all? That's a lot of money, man. He goes, well, let's go to the bank. I ain't got no money in the bank. Son, I know that. Let's go to the bank and see if we can get you a loan. A loan? Yeah. So we go to the bank, and we walk out of there with a check for $1,600. And I'm flabbergasted. So we go down there, take care of the paperwork. Guy sells me the car. I'm like numb. I see this car drive by every day, drooling over it for over a year. And now it's mine. And the keys are in my pocket. I got the pink slip, and it's mine. Okay, now what? So I get the guy to drive it and park it in front of my house. So now I'm afraid of it. What do I do with it? The thing, it's a monster. It's an animal. I'm afraid to drive it. I don't want to kill myself or other people. So I sat there and stared at it for a week. I'd sit in it. I'd make engine noises. I'd dream of a day that I'd have the courage enough to start it up and drive it around the block at least. But the day finally came. I started it up. There it is. You know, it's got the purple grind Hemi cam in it. At the time, it had a Holly 850 double pumper, Mallory dual point distributor. Oh man, So I drove around the block, and I couldn't get that second gear chirp though. I couldn't figure that out for the longest time. And so shortly after I got the car, I started at a dealership, working as a mechanic at a dealership. And so I started getting comfortable with the car and driving it, having some fun with it, tinkering with it. I learned a lot from the guys there at the dealership. You know, they were around during the muscle car years, so they knew this car like the back of their hand. They knew I was a greenhorn, and they knew that they'd be able to impress me with their automotive mechanical skills. So there's a couple guys in general there. One in the tune-up department, the other one in the heavy line transmission department. And I really respected both these guys. These guys really knew their game. Wasn't nothing they couldn't do with a Mopar. And I would watch in amazement as these guys would rip transmissions apart, put them back together, valve body balls and springs and levers and crap flying everywhere, carburetors. I mean, just amazed me as a young man, kind of starting in the business. And so I have this Cuda, you know. And by now I'm kind of getting competent. And I actually figured out how to get the second gear bark. You know, kind of get into it a little bit. Wait for the engine to rev up and then burp. Loved it. That's the best part of driving the car, is that second gear chirp. Never forget that. Wait. I still have it. So this new series, or a series, is called A Boy and His Cuda. This is episode 1. And hopefully I'll take you through the process of getting this bad boy running. Because I know a lot of you guys want me to get it running. A lot of you guys want me to take it for a final drive before I set it. And part of the reason is everybody's afraid. Everybody's afraid to... the car's a piece of junk, man. Look at it. And it looks pretty bad, I must admit. I hate seeing it like this. But I was afraid if I start messing with it and cleaning it up, make it run, I might want to keep it. But would that be so bad? It might be. I'll explain that in the coming episodes. So just so you know, I'm not all about Hot Wheels, crazy man stuff. We're gonna go through the whole saga of getting this bad boy running again. Unless some crazy thing happens and somebody shows up with like a big briefcase full of cash, and I may have to cut her short. But for the next foreseeable future, we're gonna do her. We're gonna do her, boys.